Hello, and welcome to Killer Audio Stories, where I write original short stories and narrate them for your listening pleasure. Part 1 of this month's story features a psychopathic killer, a get-it-done style detective, and a loser alcoholic who finds himself wrapped up between the two. I personally love a good crime and drama read, so I'm very excited to write and share this one with you. Hope you all like it. Stay tuned to the end and enjoy. Letter number 1, Arrival to the City. I was mid-drink when the sharp metallic creak of my mail slot chimed open, and a letter flew through. It slid across the dull, uncarpeted floor of my cramped studio apartment and into my field of view. The front simply read, Resident. I stared at it for a moment in drunk contemplation, but decided to meet the bottom of my bottle instead. I honestly figured the letter was from a landlord, possibly an eviction notice or a past due utilities bill. I barely gulped down the last of my whiskey before the light faded from my vision, and I fell asleep for the night. A loud thudding noise from the apartment upstairs stirred me from my sleep. My dark apartment held an eerie orange hue from the street lamp outside as I sat up to listen again. Once again, a loud thud. My neighbor upstairs was a barrel-chested, broad-built man with a real dickish attitude. I typically did my best to stay out of his business as he came to and from in the late hours of the evening. He often brought young girls up to the stairwell to his place, to which I assumed were prostitutes, but all of which looked borderline or completely underaged. The makeup on their faces were often smeared and smudged. Sometimes their leggings were torn and ripped. Cut-off sequin shirts also seemed popular among them. One time I even peeked out to see him carrying an incoherent and completely bare-breasted blonde through his open door. My neighbor and I made eye contact, and he simply smiled at me very eerily as he slammed the door with his boot heel. The sounds above me that evening were much different to the normal, rhythmic thumps I was used to. The noises that woke me at night were harsh, heavy, thuds, and whaps. The whimpers were much more violent and seemed to ricochet from my cold concrete floor. I had just begun to shake the feeling of grogginess when they stopped. The silence released my attention and put me back to sleep. I awoke early the next morning to a knock at my door. It was loud and jolted me upright. My eyes seared from the harsh light as I sat up. My hand met my chest and came back wet and sticky. Looking down, I saw a large bloodstain on my white t-shirt. A drip slid across my face, and I looked up to see a bloodstain steadily growing from the ceiling above. My heart jumped into my throat as the door rattled again. Open up, police. I had no time to clean up myself as I pulled my shirt over my head and wiped my cheek off, throwing it to the side as I stepped towards my front door. The doorknob stared at me unrelenting as a sober moment of clarity passed over me. I may have been involved in a crime, to which I have no recollection of. I pushed the thought from my head and tried to remain as calm as possible as I reached for the old rusted doorknob. The pounding in my skull continued and blurred my vision as I opened the door, revealing a haggard, scruffy, middle-aged man in a loose black suit staring directly at me. His jet black hair was slicked back, revealing stormy blue eyes that pierced right through me. We stared at each other speechlessly for just a moment before the scene behind him drew my attention. An ambulance, police vehicle, and a black coroner van was parked on the sleek, icy street outside. Two men were carefully wheeling a black body bag across the asphalt to the open van doors. The striking sound of a match broke my daze as I redirected my attention to the intimidating man in front of me. He never broke eye contact as he placed a cigarette in his mouth and struck a light whilst I was distracted. "Can I help you?" I said a little more shakily than I had wished. He took a drag of his cigarette and responded with, "That's what I'm going to find out." His demeanor was off-putting at best and seemed almost accusatory. "Where's your shirt?" he asked plainly. I was taken off guard and didn't have a response. "You know it's a damn blizzard out here, right? That bachelor pad can't be that well heated." I stared at him for another prolonged second before reporting that I slept hot. I asked the man if there was a reason he was knocking at my door at 5:15 in the morning, and that's when he described the crime that matched the description of the noises from the night above. "No, sir, I didn't hear anything," I lied through my teeth. He simply said, "Yeah," as he reached out with a card in hand. "I'll be in touch." The loose-suited, dark-haired figure stepped off my stoop and onto the stormy street as I quickly closed my door. None of it made any sense. Why would a guy like that be worried about a dead thug upstairs, murdered or not? Why would they knock on my door? I mean, I'm the neighbor below, but no one talks to the cops in this neighborhood, and they all know it. The questions raced through my mind as I took a peek through my door peephole. My neck hairs raised. The detective was staring right at me from the road, as if he knew what I was doing. I took a step back from the door and exhaled loudly as I turned heel to toe to sit back down on my futon bed, and that's the moment my life changed forever. My footfall landed on the letter from the evening before, a blank letter with a singular handwritten word on the front: resident. I knelt down and picked it up. The letter was completely sealed and not particularly suspicious. I examined it as I slowly sat down. My curiosity caught up to me as I ripped the edges. Inside was a handwritten letter, written neatly in old cursive writing. The bottom was signed Killer and stamped with a single bloody thumbprint. Interested in hearing the next section to this short story? If so, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification icon to stay in the loop. Also, check out my secondary channel, Black Book Creations, where I create dark drawings and other interesting videos for your viewing pleasure. You can also find a compilation of all of my work on my personal blog at watchmeliving.com. Thank you, folks, and I'll catch you next week.